My name is Natasha Malk, and this video is to discuss a few different ways that the wind mechanic is used in video games. The first game that we're going to take a look at is Ole Guard Viking. Here, I believe that the wind is used on a timer. If the player takes their time, they can memorize when they think the wind is going to blow to help them get above obstacles. The wind can also be used to help the player make jumps that wouldn't be possible otherwise. Although it may take some patience on the player's part, I believe that using wind on a timer can be a very interesting thing to add to a video game. The next game that we're going to look at is Rayman Legends, and I believe this is When Toads Fly. I feel that the wind is utilized by a collider trigger area against the player here. When the player enters the area, they're affected by the wind almost in a way as if they're swimming. The wind works against the player just enough to be helpful, as long as the player uses their wings to steer through and around obstacles. The last game that I'm going to talk about is Shovel Knight, and I believe this is the Flying Machine Propeller Knight. It seems here that the wind is constantly going through the fans, but the enemies also use wind to try to push the player around and do more damage. Here's something that I thought was very interesting. Shovel Knight is jumping off. The enemy is actually trying to harm him, but winds up helping him to get across the hole. So I thought that that was a neat way to actually use the enemy's wind to the player's advantage. Okay, here we have our Shovel Knight getting the propeller dagger. This is a way for the player to use wind, not just as it's coming from a fan or being used by one of the enemies, but actually on a trigger that the player uses. So this can help the player to get across holes and stuff, and also give them a little boost of speed. But that could also be hurtful in areas that need to maybe take a little bit more finesse. Okay, right here I had some trouble trying to figure out what was going on with this wind. It seems as though it's just going in one direction against the player. And once the player gets used to going in the one direction, once again the wind decides to change its mind and go another way. I am feeling that this is also on a timer for the player, as it does help them kind of float across here. I believe that wind is very interesting, and I'm going to try to utilize it a lot more.